Welcome, and thank you for joining our first ever Ndajee at Home celebration. I am really missing seeing each and every one of you tonight. But that is not going to stop us from having a good time, because Ndajee, our annual celebration, is just that, a celebration for girls' education. So tonight, we are celebrating the accomplishments of WGEP, our teams in Senegal and in Kenya, our board of directors and our advisors, our young professionals board, our interns and our volunteers. Tonight, we're celebrating the girls and the families in our program. And we're celebrating all of you, our very generous supporters. So I want to thank you for joining us and for working with us in this movement to help more girls succeed through education. Now, I know that there's a lot of things going on in the world right now, right here in the US, that need our attention and our help. And that's why we're especially grateful to have you joining us and carving out this time to think about women and girls who are very far away, but who also need our help. So it's been an extraordinary year, and I'm proud of what we've been able to accomplish during this challenging year. First and foremost, we have been able to continue to support the girls and the families in the communities where we work in Senegal and Kenya through the COVID-19 pandemic. So we've been able to pivot and put some resources into responding to the immediate needs on the ground. We've done things like delivered food, soap, lanterns, radios. We've done mask making. We've conducted radio programs on how to stay safe and healthy. And we have also conducted radio programs on gender-based violence. All of the funds that we raised tonight are going to go towards helping our girls in our program, support them through the COVID pandemic and beyond. So I want to thank you for your support of women and girls and for being part of the solution. Now tonight I am joined by two very special people. We have no Ndajee would be complete without our longtime supporter, advocate, friend, Jerome McDonald from WBEZ is here. Thank you, Jerome, for joining us. Not even a pandemic could keep you from supporting this work and continuing to help our girls. We also have Harriet Spears, who is the manager of strategic partnerships and communications, and many of you who are sponsors have been in contact with Harriet already. She is working hard to make sure that tonight's evening goes well. So thank you, Harriet, for all of your hard work. So I want to kick off the evening with a fun dance celebration. Some of you know that our usual Ndajee has live singing and dancing. Today, we can't be live, but we have a very special treat that the girls dancing will be from Kenya. So tonight, sit back, relax, and enjoy dancing from our girls in Kenya.
Karibu, karibu, enyi wageni wetu. It is impossible to watch that without wanting to get up and dance, but I will spare you all of that for tonight. I want to thank Amy for that gracious introduction. My name is Harriet Spears. I am our Manager of Strategic Partnerships and Communications here at WGEP. I want to make sure that throughout the night, everyone knows how you can make a contribution to ensure that we hit our $175,000 goal to ensure that every girl in our program can succeed through and beyond the COVID-19 crisis. To make a donation at any point, please visit our event website at Ndajee, NDAJEE.CBO.io, or if you want to text out your tech savviness, you can text Ndajee, same spelling, to 56651. And so you can make a contribution at any point, but if you want to bid on our silent auction, please make sure to do so before it closes at 8:30. So I want to take a moment to thank all of our sponsors before we get any further for already ensuring the success of our event. Before we even started tonight, we were at 88% of our fundraising goal, thanks to these people and many more. So thank you to the Menaki Foundation, Lucy and Peter Ascoli, Sarah Miata and Stephen Weber, John Kay, Ed Roble and Lynn Wentworth, the Muller Family Foundation, Polly and Ken Ratner, Lynn Besser, Regine and Rick Corrado, Marie and Jorge Olmos, Laura and Eric Jordal, Edelman, Friedman Law Group, JLL Chicago, Florence and Igor Planer, April and Paul Dinellen, Leanan Weber, Baroni and Daffida, K&L Gates, Sean Body, Lisa Snow and Franco Turinelli, Justin Hilson, Donna Cook, and Matt Maciejewski, Heidi Olson, and more. I had that spelled phonetically and I still stumbled over it, but thank you all for bearing with me. So thank you again to our sponsors and many more that I did not name for already ensuring a great success of this event. So now I want to introduce a beloved tradition we have at WGEP, and that is our annual Philanthropy Award. So this year's award honoree is Sue Carruthers, WGEP's former board president and a passionate advocate for women and girls. Her friends, family, and WGEP board members can introduce her better than I can, so we're going to show a short video about all of her contributions to our organization.
I grew up in a family of 4 boys. I'm the only girl, but also a family that didn't necessarily put a high priority on higher education. So I feel very passionate about offering my own daughters that opportunity, and I also believe that other women should have the same opportunities that they have, and that's what really draws me to women's education and to women's global education, because that's what they're doing. They're trying to give every girl that they can access to education.
Hi, good afternoon, Sue. I'm so happy to be here in person with you. We brought you a little bit of a surprise, some messaging of people who love you and you love as well, celebrating with you on this occasion that you get this fantastic award.
Oh my goodness, this is so exciting.
I would describe my mom as passionate. I would describe her as active, very caring, and a fighter for what she believes in.
I think that ultimately when my mom thinks about education, she thinks about learning as something that you never, grow out of.
It wrapped up inside of her is passion, fun, ideas, and she's able to laugh at herself, and she keeps, current on things, and she's willing to listen, and she's willing to learn.
There is a mighty force that I met there when I joined the board and she was a co-board member. I ask myself all the time, what would Sue do? WWSD.
Sue is a champion of this work. As she grew with the organization, she became more and more involved, working her way to board chair. And through her leadership, now we've been able to take this next big leap and this next chapter of growth by the launch of this Movement Maker campaign to raise $1 million for the very first time. It's really going towards growth and expansion and working towards reaching 20,000 women and girls by the end of 2021.
What is talked about today for all women, we had it from the very beginning, and it was our mom, and she just always told us we can do whatever we want to do, we can be whoever we want to be. And so I feel like I feel lucky that I already had that, and I already know that, and that's all thanks to Mom.
My mom was the one that introduced me to WGEP, and so it really opened my eyes to Senegal and just kept me interested in wanting to actually go there and visit in the future.
Sue had the opportunity to go to Senegal. Sue spent a 5-hour car ride to visit our office, to meet our staff, and I heard her dancing is phenomenal.
Sue is a very kind woman, very generous and a good advisor, and a very open-minded woman.
She's everything you want in a friend.
She's hardworking,
intelligent,
mighty,
Passionate,
And stubborn, I would say, in the best way possible.
Thank you so much, Sue, for your dedication to this mission and this cause.
Sue and Women's Global work here in our community has a very, very big impact. We wanted to thank Sue for her continued support to Women's Global Education Project.
Sue, thank you so much for being a fantastic board president, a fantastic donor, a fantastic partner, and a wonderful friend.
I'm just so proud to have been working side by side with such wonderful women holding up the world. It is an incredible small but mighty team who are very, very connected closely to the work that's happening in both Kenya and Senegal, and very connected to the team that is over there. What's unique about Women's Global is they work with local NGOs, local experts, and the community. So they're coming in as partners. I had the great opportunity of visiting Senegal with my daughter who was studying there at the time. So we went out to Sokone where Women's Global is working, and we were there on the day that all the girls were getting their school supplies ready to go back to school. And it was really super special because I don't know anywhere in the United States that you would go and kids are, you know, so excited and parents are dancing and well, maybe sometimes to go back to school. And the local imam stood up and he said how important it is to educate the young girls in their community, and how proud he was that their community was doing this because he understood the value of educating these girls to uplift their community to upward mobility, and looking at these girls as the future as well as the boys. That's when I knew that Women's Global was really doing a great job of coming in and working with communities and not coming in and preaching. I think that when you invest in a non-profit, you're trusting that the vision of the organization is being implemented. Going somewhere and then just seeing that what you hoped was happening was really happening, and that not only is it really happening, it's done really well, and there is actual long-term sustainable change. It's just really reassuring that this program's really good. We are always trying to grow this organization, but what they do with the funding that they have and the commitment that they have for it is, to me, like second to none. I would say it's easy to give when things are going along smoothly, but it's harder to give when things are stretched, and it's harder to give when things are tough. But that's when it's the most important time to give. Now's the time because it is hard, and now's the time because women are the most impacted.
Congratulations, Sue, and I'm sitting here right now with Jerome McDonald, and we have one last really big surprise for Sue. So, 26 of your friends and neighbors came together to raise $18,775 in your honor with the help and matching of Julie Moeller. So we want to thank Sue for helping to raise that, and Julie Moeller for all that she's done. Thank you so much.
It is great to be here and Ndajeeing with you tonight, even if it's only virtually. And I am honored that you have entrusted me with the fun, interactive portion of tonight's program.
You were the first person we thought of.
And we are going to have some trivia about the Women's Global Education Project now. And we hope you'll all participate. You can follow along on the screen and you can play for prizes. You're right there on your computer or phone, and it's crowd.live/GJZHF, and you enter your full name and GJZHF, and you can play along at the trivia game and look at the fun prizes we've got. It's Nicholas Kristof's book. We're going to be hearing from him a little later. And Cheryl Wu Dunn and the Half the Sky book, all about women's opportunities and education around the world. And look at this. It's some beautiful bath things from Lush. Lush, the place where beautiful bath things come from. So I hope you're all signed in now, and I hope you're ready to go. And I just want to say how much I miss everybody out there. And I miss seeing all you, April and Julie and Sue and John and the Hansons and everybody I see on a regular basis at this thing. You're an awesome crew of people. And everybody's on the same page about the importance of women's education. So it's always a great feeling to be at Ndajee, and it's great to be with you virtually. And let's play this game, and let's win some valuable prizes and do something interactive together. All right, so all 5 questions are multiple choice, and you'll score points based on speed and accuracy. So a lot of these questions might be easy for some of you, but if you are not fast, you will lose. The top 3 winners will receive these fine gifts, and we'll hit the first question here. What is the most widely spoken language in Senegal? And your choices are A, French, B, Wolof, C, Pilar, or D, Serer. And you have those 4 choices. And Amy and I were chatting a bit about the number of languages in Senegal. We could have gone 12 on this. We could have had 12 choices, but we went easy on you with 4.
Exactly.
And which language do you speak best, Amy?
So I speak a language called Serer, which I think is the best language in Senegal.
And how are we at 45 seconds yet? Are we at the point where we can tell what the answer is? You think it's going to be French? I don't know. The colonial language, would that still be the most widely spoken language in Senegal? I don't think so. Is it Serer, Amy's favorite language that she speaks and is comfortable with and was the first one she learned? Or is it Pilar?
I'll give you a hint.
Right.
How you say, how are you in this language is Nanga Def. So if you know how to speak this language, you'll get the right answer.
All right, the correct answer is B, Wolof. Wolof is the most spoken language in Senegal. By a wide margin when we were looking it up.
Yeah, something like 80%.
And here we go with question number 2. I hope you were fast, and I hope you were accurate. What is the Women's Global Education Project scholarship program retention rate? How many girls stay in the program and succeed? And your choices are A, 99.3, B, 72%, C, 59%, or D, 87.4%. And I think this one's going to be easy for a lot of the people who are regular attendees of Ndajee, Amy, because you send out very regular updates about how the girls are doing. And that's one of the fun things about the project is seeing the success as the results roll in.
Yes, our success rate in retention is pretty high. It's pretty high.
So I would just, I 59% is certainly out, and it is the amazing 99.3 number, and that is an outstanding number.
Thank you. We're very proud of these results.
How does it happen?
It's that we have a very comprehensive program, so we think we have the right mix of services in order to not only get girls into school, but keep them in school. So that's our secret.
All right, now this one is an ancient history question. Question number 3 is ancient history question. What year was the Women's Global Education Project founded? Was it 2011? Was it 2007? Was it C, 2004? Or was it D, 1999? Now, probably a lot of you out there know that Amy was in the Peace Corps and came back from the Peace Corps and, started the project. So you got to pretty much gauge this on Amy's age, I imagine, is the right question, the right kind of guessing thing to go with here.
Or my daughter's age.
Or your
The
daughter's
case would
age.
be my daughter and WGEP are the same age, if that helps.
That's how Amy remembers. That should be how you remember. But it is 2004. So your daughter is 16. The Women's Global Education Project is 16. And how many girls did you start with back in 2004?
10 girls.
10 girls in 2004. How many we got now?
Over 18,000 women and girls served.
18,000 women and girls. You're adding like 1,000 a year.
Yep, something
More
like
than
that.
like That's great. We move on to question 4. What region does the Women's Global Education Project serve in Kenya? Probably a lot of you know that it started in Senegal, moved on to Kenya. And what part of Kenya is it in? Is it A, Nairobi, B, Nyeri, C, Mombasa, or D, Tharaka? A lot of you are probably saying, I don't know. I probably don't know anything outside of Nairobi on this question. What should I pick? And I don't know. Probably the part closest to Senegal, I would guess. The part of Kenya closest to Senegal.
Well, it's not in the north, it's not in the east, it's not in the west. It's sort of central Kenya.
All right, the answer is D, Tharaka. Tharaka is the question, the winning question. And the 5th question, which of the following is not a primary reason why girls drop out of school in the program? Is it A, lack of interest, B, poverty, C, early marriage/pregnancy, or D, poor health and education? Which of the following ones is not a primary reason why the girls drop out of school? So here we go. Let's think about this. There's some pretty serious ones in there.
Yes.
And I think we should probably say that poverty is probably a really good reason to drop out. So it's lack of interest. A lack of interest is not a primary reason why girls drop out of school. The girls want to go to school.
Yeah, we found most girls really do want to go to school. It's just not available to them.
And so I hope you were exceedingly fast as you knocked out those questions and answers. The computer is going to tell us which 3 of you were fastest. You're going to get an almost immediate response on this. Harriet's going to hand me the names, and we will know who the winners are. You speedy ones. The speediest person was Michelle. The second speediest person was Claire. And the third, it's the thing GJZHF. I don't know who that third person is, but you've got a very funny name. But congratulations, and thank you for doing so much to support the Women's Global Education Project. I'm really happy to be with all of you tonight, and I think you're going to really enjoy the next segment, because it's very special. It's Nicholas Kristof and Miriam Huss, Women's Global Education Project board member, and Nicholas Kristof, the 2-time Pulitzer Prize winner. Enjoy this conversation. Thank you very much for supporting everything.
Hello everyone, my name is Miriam Huss. I'm a board member of WGEP and I am honored and delighted to be joined by Nicholas Kristof, New York Times columnist, 2 times Pulitzer Prize winner and best-selling author. Nicholas, thank you so much for joining us today in support of Ndajee, which is our annual benefit for girls' education. So we have a quote actually in our offices from you and your wife Cheryl, and it says, "Women and girls represent perhaps the best hope for fighting global poverty." And so we are so grateful to have your voice advocating for vulnerable populations around the world. Your recent book is focusing on, improving lives in rural America, but Half the Sky explores how to best empower women and girls in developing countries. So what motivates you to tell stories about underserved population?
Originally, it was just a sense of both outrage at injustices that were disproportionately addressed to women and girls around the world. Sex trafficking. I did one piece about sex trafficking in rural Cambodia, and I didn't think I'd write about it again. But those girls I saw in those brothels just haunted me, and you just can't go back to your family and move on and forget about that. So I began to write more about that, and it was a sense not only of a great injustice, but also of an opportunity that if we try to think how we can do a better job fighting global poverty and making a more peaceful world and addressing terrorism and so on, then educating girls and bringing those educated women into the labor force seemed a pretty good avenue.
And I wanted to ask also that question where you're showing, issues, poverty here in the US, but you're also showing that in other countries with underserved population. So what is your argument for the importance about, caring about global issues when here in the US we have so many challenges?
I think that it's a mistake to pit humanitarian needs abroad against those at home. I do think we have bandwidth for both. And at the end of the day, our compassion, our humanity should not depend on the color of somebody else's skin or the color of somebody else's passport. And we know how to, make a difference abroad. And some of the times when we've most felt when we felt our moral failings most acutely have involved needs abroad. You think about our failures to respond to the Holocaust, our failure to respond to the Rwanda genocide, which Bill Clinton had said was his biggest foreign policy mistake. Those are needs of fellow citizens abroad. I'm here because Americans a couple of generations ago welcomed a refugee from Eastern Europe named Vladislav Kristofovich, who then shortened his name to Christoph, and he was my dad. Yeah. And, thank goodness there were Americans back then who didn't say, "Oh, we have needs at home. We don't need to worry about a refugee from abroad." Right. I think we're better than that.
Yeah. So my next question is a question from one of our supporters, Nancy Judah. So we know that you and your wife, Mrs. Wooden, have been talking for a long time about the difference empowering women and girls can make for themselves, but also for their families and their communities. So regarding this, what changes have you seen since you first published your book, Half the Sky, in 2009?
I think one of the big differences has been that there's a growing appreciation that this isn't just an issue about equity or justice or human rights, but also a question about economic development and about security. And, I've got to say it struck me that in Afghanistan in particular, some of the most passionate advocates for girls' education there were the U.S. military, because they saw that, fighting the Taliban was hard. But one of the things that worked was educating more girls in a district, and that the greatest threat to extremism over time is indeed an educated girl.
Right.
And I don't think that we have fully absorbed that lesson. Even now, we've gotten better, but if you look at our investments in aircraft carriers versus our investments in school books and education of girls, there's a certain gap there, and I wish we would do better. The world would be a better place if we did.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So that's exactly what we're working on with Women's, Global Education Project, empowering girls and, with education, mentoring, coaching. I mean, the work that Amy and her team and the teams, in Kenya and Senegal, what they're doing is just amazing. And so with COVID-19, we have on top of that another challenge, obviously, to work helping girls in rural Senegal and Kenya attend and also succeed at school. So from your perspective and your opinion, what and how has the COVID-19 global pandemic affected the issues described in your book?
I think that in many ways the pandemic has exacerbated the conditions. In general, I think that women and girls in many ways are way better off than when we originally wrote Half the Sky. But the pandemic has worsened those situations in a couple of ways. One is that there's a lot of evidence that when families don't have enough money, when they're short of resources, then they're more likely to send their son to school and not their daughter. They're more likely to take their son to the clinic, not their daughter. If they don't have enough food, they save the best for their son, and maybe the daughter goes hungry. And so in times of crisis, female child mortality always rises vis-a-vis male child mortality because of just deep-seated ideas about a son preference. And so I worry a lot about what is happening in towns and villages around the globe when families all of a sudden aren't able to get as much food, aren't able to earn as much, when schools are closed, when chores need to be done, when families have to make really difficult decisions about how to allocate scarce resources and whose school fees to pay. And I fear that the COVID pandemic will be followed by an illiteracy pandemic and a malnutrition pandemic. And I think that it's important that we pay attention not only to the medical consequences of the coronavirus, but also to the socioeconomic and gender consequences as well.
And just to piggyback on that, we saw in your recent New York Times column, when you're talking about the challenges of remote learning in the US. Well, in those developing countries, it's even worse. And so there's way more challenges that exist, for students. So how do you see that digital divide affecting remote learning for students?
Well, first of all, thank you for the work that you all are doing in the schools in Senegal and Kenya. And 50 years from now, those women will have had lives that are far more productive, and their families will be better off, their communities will be better off, because in 2020 they're getting those resources and that help. If it's hard to support education in the United States in a time of plague, it's a million times harder in the developing world. I fear that the death toll narrowly from COVID-19 may be smaller than the death toll from these pandemics of malnutrition and illiteracy that will haunt some regions for decades to come. But it's obviously an incredibly difficult thing to do, and we in the West are so understandably, we're really focused on our own problems, and so there hasn't been a lot of bandwidth to think about problems in developing countries. And where we have tended to think of it, we've thought about, let's supply ventilators, or let's supply, things to address the medical issues. I don't think we've thought enough about the educational and social consequences of COVID.
All right, so that was it. That was the last questions I had for you today. Nicolas, thank you so much for all the work that you are doing by educating people here in the US about, you know, the challenges that, you know, may have women and girls across the globe, and also here in the US. So on behalf of the board and Women's Global Education Project, we thank you very much for what you're doing and shining lights about, you know, underserved population. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you because, you know, I'm shining a light. So I'm working the spotlights, but it's you all who are actually in the arena, actually doing the hard work and the heavy lifting and making a difference around the world. So I compliment you on that, and I thank you for it.
Great conversation there from Nick Kristof from the New York Times and Mariam Huss, the board member of the Women's Global Education Project. And one of the things that they were talking about there is the pandemic and COVID-19. It's something that has affected all of our lives, including the people who are involved in the Women's Global Education Project in Kenya and Senegal. And we've got a film now that talks about exactly what's going on with the women and girls in Senegal. Here's a closer look.
Senegalese government has started putting restrictions after the first cases was recorded in early March. They forbid any people moving to a region to another. Schools, all public places was closed.
People cannot walk out freely, go to look for food. One, the markets are closed. Two, the lockdown stops people from moving out or inside to get essential issues. So if you don't have this or that in your county, you remain without it.
Girls and their family are starving because the parents, most of the parents they are farmers, so they cash crops. They need to send their cash crops and the vegetable they grow. They need to sell it in the markets, but unfortunately, the markets are closed. And as far as the learnings are concerned, the Ministry of Education has proposed an approach of learning over TV and radio broadcasts. Our scholars, they are living in very isolated areas, so they don't have access to the radio, they don't have access to electricity, so you can imagine.
There is a lot of teaching through the media, but here, due to poverty, very few homes have radios and televisions where our girls can listen to the lessons. They also don't have enough for their personal effects like sanitary pads and other essentials.
We call regularly, the staff call regularly the girls to see whether they are safe and healthy. You know, this is our biggest concern, because we want the scholars to know that in spite of the pandemic, but the staff is here near them.
today. We are very happy. In fact, we're very excited. Today we have been given lots of things, and I'm proud of TWWP. It has been a good program for us. In fact, I am a beneficiary since I was in Form 1, and until I'm now a Form 4 leaver, I'm waiting to join the university. And now we have been given lots of things. We have been given some rice, which we'll be taking, because at our home we have been taking maize, which is such a boredom. And now I'm happy today we've changed the diet. I'm proud of that. We'll be given some sanitary towels that we'll be using at the end of the month as girls. We'll be given some radio to listen to the news. And now that during this time of COVID-19, we shall be knowing how it is going along how the world is taking it, and now we shall know when to back to school and join the university. We have been given some files to apply, some batteries, and I'm happy of that. I'm just happy.
What we would like to let people know is that we need the continued support so that we will be able to continue our intervention working and to best support our communities. Thank you very much for all the donors.
Thank you so much for tuning in with us tonight and learning more about how our programs have adapted this year. As you heard from both Nicholas and now just from Casimir and Aniseta, it is not only the health outcomes of the COVID pandemic that are felt by our communities. Our communities are faced with growing food insecurity, threats of gender-based violence, poverty, and challenges related to remote learning. It is serious, and in the past few months of the pandemic alone, we've started receiving reports from girls in our program that have been sent to cities to work as domestic workers while schools are closed. When schools reopen in October, November, or next year, it's going to be even harder to bring all of those girls back and continue on their path for education. That's why we need to continue to mobilize all the resources that we can to ensure that our progress towards girls' education and gender equality is not lost due to COVID-19. So at this point in our program, what would normally be an in-person paddle raise is going to be a virtual paddle raise. So I'd like to invite everyone who has not yet made a contribution tonight, or anyone looking to increase your impact and your contribution for our organization, to make a gift when you reach the level that's appropriate to what you would like to give. So we are going to start with the $2,500 level. If just 7 people gave at this level, we would reach our $175,000 goal right now. This level provides a classroom of girls with comprehensive school scholarships. Within our program, school scholarships do not just mean tuition. It means transportation, clothing, school supplies, sanitary pads, and any sort of additional items and resources they need to succeed in school. You would have a transformational impact at this level. So please make sure to give now if you're able. The next level that we have is $1,000. And at that level, you can support 8 high school student leaders with leadership training and development. These are helping more girls like Alima, Absitu, Ernestine, and Ndajee, like you saw in our video, learn the crucial leadership skills that they need to become passionate advocates in their community. The next level that we have is $500. $500 in our community equals 200 masks that are distributed amongst community members. This is especially important in our rural communities where most people do not have access to these sort of resources. Using our sustainable model, we've also bought sewing machines and educated community members and women in our income generation groups how to make their own masks to continue to increase their impact and support more community members. The next level that we have is $250. $250, you can support 10 entire families with a 50-kilogram bag of rice. As you heard from both Casimir and Aniseta, food insecurity continues to be a major problem during the pandemic, and this level ensures that families are not going hungry and that they can add some diversity to their diets, as you heard from Alice in her testimonial as well. For $100, if you've not yet given, we hope that you consider making a contribution now to ensure that we reach our goal. $100 provides 3 community hand washing stations that are placed in heavily trafficked areas within our villages with hand sanitizer, soap, and water, resources that are, again, not readily available in our communities. And the last level that we have tonight is $50. If there's anyone watching who has not yet made a gift, please do so at this level to support one WGEP scholar with remote learning resources. That means a radio so that she can keep hearing her remote learning lessons while schools are closed, and a solar lantern that is a crucial resource for families without electricity to be studying during the pandemic. So please make that gift now and help us reach our goal tonight. Giving you some time to figure out the technology and such. So thank you all for believing in the power of girls' education. The impact that you have made tonight is transformational, and we need your help to ensure that we can mobilize as many resources as possible for our girls and for our communities. So if you have not already, please consider sending the link to our event website to 3 friends, asking them to match you, and spreading the word to more people about our cause and about the needs in our communities in Kenya and Senegal. Thank you for making such a sustained impact on our organization. We would like to end on a positive note. So to switch gears a little bit, we want to talk about how our organization is not only sustaining ourselves, but we are continuing to grow in this moment. So in August 2020, we received very exciting news that we are going to be building a $500,000 library and computer center in rural Kenya. This library is going to be a state-of-the-art facility to reach 10,000 women and girls in our community in rural Kenya. It will become our new headquarters for the operations in Kenya and be a resource unlike anything in the area. So you'll start hearing more and more about this library construction from us, but we wanted you all to hear it first as our most passionate and dedicated supporters. So thank you so much for being with us on this journey. We could not be more grateful for you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Cynthia, a WGEP scholar in Kenya, who will be a beneficiary of this new library in Kenya. So with that, Cynthia is going to perform an original spoken word poem called An African Tear. Please enjoy.
My name is Ndajee, a beneficiary of the Tharaka Women's Welfare Program and the Women's Global Education Project since 2016 when I joined high school, and I have a poem to the program as a thanks. The poem is known as An African Tear. My African nature gives me my African stature. My African ability leaves me aiming higher and higher. My intelligent African brain gives me brilliant ideas every time. I draw and form structures. Structures to build my today. For I can't build my tomorrow without a better night today. Since today is my foundation, my strength. I write, I draw, lay out and construct. This leaves my esteem so high. Yet I fall, crack, and break into pieces. My voice is never heard. For everyone around here is busy working for a few coins that they take from their hands to their mouths. But now, things are different. I am a proud soul, for someone has got my back. The Tharaka Women's Welfare Program and the Women's Global Education Project have supported me. Socially, emotionally, spiritually, and even financially. Very few can take that initiative. The program has supported me by raising my self-esteem, by giving me free personal effects. They have also supported me by calling for meetings for me to be a better woman in the society. And not just a better woman, but a woman of substance in the society. All thanks to the program. I can see success coming my way. And this success will change my desperate tear into a tear of joy, into a bundle of joy. This day of success, I will tie a lasso around my waist and dance like a possessed African woman, because I will have power. The power to speak for the voiceless in the society, the power to help the poor girls in the society, and the power to spread humanity. All I need is support. The support to be that superwoman who fights for humanity. So join me and let's make a change, because I need you and you need me.
Well, we hope you enjoyed our program today. We're so grateful that you've continued to support this project and our work through these difficult times. And your gifts are going to go a long way in helping girls that truly need our help. So I want to thank all of us for coming together virtually. I want to thank Jerome McDonald for coming out and supporting this like he does every year. I want to say a special thank you to Gravity Well Studios, who is hosting us here tonight. We could not have done this without you. So thank you all so much, and hopefully we'll be together next year. Bye.
See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything.